warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Yara Putrapatiwi. I am from English Department. In this session, I will present about towards a set of design principles for developing oral presentation competence, a synthesis of research in higher education. I got the part rational. Okay, in this context of higher education, this competence domain is considered as essential for effective performance of graduates in various working environments, for career success, and for effective participation in the democratic society. The other rationale to conduct the study or the first address the instruction, learning, and assessment sides of the learning environment. It means how the teacher assesses the presentation of students in their learning environment and how the teacher provides direction or material to students. If students understand, students will find it easier to present the material. The second is directly relate learning environment characteristics to oral presentation competence or components thereof. It means that the availability of existing facilities such as projectors, laptop, classroom, and comfortable enough for students to present them if the presentation is not supported by these facilities. Then the presentation cannot run perfectly and the characteristics of the learning environment become important along with the oral presentation. The slides provide conceptual and empirical arguments for effective operationalization of that learning environment characteristics. This one is more for students who are expected or asked to be active in presentation, both asking questions and arguing or giving personal arguments, and if there are deficiencies in the presentation so that effective learning is established. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi guys, my name is Zara Salsabila, and now I want to tell you about oral presentation competence. Oral presentation competence as combination of knowledge, skill, and attitude. This combination are needed to speak in public, as self-express, and to persuade, which is conceptualization of the construct of oral presentation competence. The concept of oral presentation competence is interrelatedness of the cognitive, behavioral, and affective domains. Oral presentation competence can improve student knowledge of communication, improve their ability to communicate to each other, and increase their willingness to communicate. On the research, communication anxiety can be reduced by practicing a series of oral presentation competence. That's all from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
7 Design Principle for Developing Oral Presentation Competence. First, instruction. Ensure that learning objectives are communicated explicitly to students and or specifically formulate in relation to criteria of oral presentation in order to increase self-efficacy, beliefs, and oral presentation competence. Ensure that the learning task, the presentation assignment, is related to content of the particular discipline considered as relevant by student. The complex develops through the course and students perceive the context of the task as authentic to enhance self-efficacy beliefs, oral presentation competence, and to decrease communication apprehension. Learning activity provide opportunities for students to observe models of peers or experts to increase self-efficacy beliefs and oral presentation competence. Provide opportunities for students to practice their oral presentation in order to develop their oral presentation competence and to decrease their communication apprehension. Assessment strategy ensure that feedback is explicit, contextual, adequately timed, and suitable intensity in order to improve student oral presentation competence. Encourage the involvement of peers in formative assessment process in order to develop student oral presentation competence and attitudes towards presenting. And the last is facilitate self-assessment using video tapping and portfolio to encourage student self-efficacy explicit, contextual, adequately timed, and suitable intensity in order to improve student oral presentation competence. Encourage the involvement of peers in formative assessment process in order to develop student oral presentation competence and attitudes towards presenting. And the last is facilitate self-assessment using video tapping and portfolio to encourage student self-efficacy beliefs, oral presentation competence, and attitudes towards presenting.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, my name is Puji Sakia. In this video, I will read about a quote from an article entitled Towards a Set of Design Principles for Developing Oral Presentation Competence, a synthesis of research in higher education. This paper argues that the design of learning environments to develop oral presentation competences requires a systematic approach that considers the teaching, learning, and assessment of side the learning environment coins. This statement is from Biggs in 1996. Based on theoretical and empirical findings, a set of 7 design principles was formulated, which demonstrated the influence of the characteristics of the learning environments on developing oral presentation competencies on students' performance. This comprehensive set of design principles is intended for conducting theoretical, empirical, and practical studies to develop oral presentation competencies in higher education. This statement is from De Grasse et al. In 2009. Based on this review, the following 3 conclusions can be drawn. First, an effective and efficient design of the instructional environment for developing oral presentation competence. There are 2 principles that can lead to effective and efficient adoption of the higher education. Second, all 7 design principles should be included in learning environments for developing oral presentation competencies. All characteristics of the learning environment are essential for developing oral presentation competence, which are combined in the 7 design principles are mentioned. Third, the comprehensive perspective with underlying theoretical and empirical argumentations in developing oral presentation performance in specific. This way, the argument facilitates specific elaboration and interpretation of the principles formulated in the context of developing oral presentation competence. That's all from me, and thanks for your attention. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for support this channel. Bye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Closing statement. This competence domain is considered essential for the effective performance of graduates in various working environments, for career success and effective participation in the democratic society. There are several reasons from the researcher, which in essence is directing the teaching, learning,
an assessment side of the learning environment to develop oral presentation competencies. From the definition of oral presentation, we can conclude that in this study, considering the concepts of oral presentation competence is the relationship between cognitive, behavioral, and affective domains, and the 7 design principles that have been explained, with the conclusions being very helpful for us students to improve the performance of our oral presentations. That's all from us, and thanks for your attention.